Hickok 45. Look what I have. Pile of hardware, steel and wood. Thanks to the MosinCrate.com. They sent us another firearm, another gift, a Model 39 Mosin Nagant. Pretty cool, huh? And they kind of sent it in pieces, so I got to figure out how to get it together and if it is really a Model 39. And we're going to be about that here in a second. First, I wanted to thank our... So, again, the Mosin Crate sent this thing. They didn't send a crate, but they sent this. And I'm going to see if it really is a rifle. Just kidding. They did not send it like this. I wouldn't want... Some of you are a little gullible. I mean, you know, you got to admit it, don't you? You're a little gullible sometimes. Just a few. Very few. No, I had it apart. I thought it might be an interesting just way to start for a change and put it back together. Now, of course, I still could have problems because of my mentality. I might not remember exactly how to do that. So I'm going to grab the barrel, and I thought it'd also be a good way to show you some of the construction of it. The Model 39, made by the Finnish in Finland. It is a different sort of Mosin. It really is. It's considered by many to be the ultimate Mosin Nagant. All right, because I mean, parts of it are. You see that receiver? That's the early hex milled receiver there. That's always considered a nice receiver. You know, some of the best Mosins, of course. That's a desirable, collectible, receiver. Okay, so they used the old receivers. The Finns had a lot of those. Oh man, if you study the history of Finland, back before World War I, right on up through, they're seemed like they're constantly involved in civil war with the Russians. They were a Grand Duchy of Russia and kind of left alone, but then later they were not left alone and had their own revolution. And so a lot of turmoil at times, like a lot of countries. And we're not immune to that either in the United States. But a very storied history, and small arms, of course, plays a major role in that. And they were awash in Mosin Nagants, the 91s, the 9130s, and various models, some that they modified and came up with in the 30s. They were using about 3 different models and even manufacturing them, putting them together, and decided in the 30s, the mid-30s, that wait a minute, we need to settle on one rifle. And like a lot of countries have done, right? As powders improved and that sort of thing, you didn't need this long rifle and you didn't necessarily need this really short one. We sort of hit a happy medium in a lot of cases, and that's what they were looking to do. So this is it. This one has a Sacco, I think, or Sacco, it's pronounced, I believe, over there. We call it Seiko pretty much in this country. A barrel on it, you can tell by the little S there, and it's supposed to be a better barrel. And there were several barrel makers, suppliers for Finland, for their Model 39s, and they're really supposed to be a more accurate barrel. That's one of the improvements. Now, I understand too that some of them are actually a little bit smaller diameter, and so you could have some accuracy issues with certain kinds of ammo. So that's something you want to be aware of and check out if you are into shooting flies at a couple hundred yards. I'm going to put this back in the stock, and you can see it's a really beefy stock before I put it in there. That's another major change. Plus, you got kind of a pistol grip on it. It's very beefy. They moved the barrel band, the first barrel band, out further on the stock. Let me lay it over here by this is the 9130 I've got out here, and you can see the barrel band is going to be way out here on the Model 39, whereas it's back here. And as I understand, that enabled them to make a beefier stock further on out, and less prone to breakage and that kind of thing. So the stock is definitely different. The handguard as well. I just have this with some ballast on it. So before I put it in there, I always want to wipe down metal parts just lightly with oil, before you put them in there, because I don't know when the next time will be that I actually have this out of the stock, because you normally don't need to take it out. Okay, so that fits in there like that, and it needs a couple of screws. Whoop. Let's put now the magazine is essentially used. I think they made a little bit of a change in the trigger maybe, but this is about the same. They stamped the serial number on them, the Finns did. They took the old, again, the Model 91s, the 9130s, and they used the parts that made sense, like the magazine trigger assembly for the most part, and the receivers. And then they just made their own stock design. Like I said, barrels and sights are just different. Let me get one of these in here. I believe this shorter one goes up front. It's a neat thing about these old guns too. You know, some screws and a screwdriver. Unlike a modern polymer rifle or handgun, not many of them call for a screwdriver, right? You always want to use a good screwdriver, preferably a gunsmithing, screwdriver. So the Model 39, try to talk to you a little bit while I'm doing this, and I'll probably end up putting it on together backwards, but it's considered, again, a really, really nice Mosin. Some people turn up their noses at Mosin Nagants when they're compared with a Mauser or a Lee Enfield, you name it, any other, what am I leaving out? Some of the really nice bolt action rifles, the Enfield and the Mauser, of course, two of the top ones. But whether that's valid or not, when you get to the M39, this one, you really cannot turn up your nose, even if you're a Mauser snob. You really can't. You do have the same bolt. They retain the bolt and everything, and and the receiver. But most of them are this early, heavy-duty hex milled receiver. So that's kind of nice. And if you pick one of these things up, you'll see. I'll put the bolt in and show you, but it has a more solid feel than your standard Mosins too, even with the same bolt. All right. So where are we here? Any other parts we need? Well, we probably need, let's put the handguard on. And the handguards are a little thicker. Again, it's out there a little further, and it's supposedly more durable. I have not thrown mine around in the trenches or anything. Try don't leave anything out. The handguard, or the barrel band. You think the barrel bands, they're just, there's nothing cheap about them. That's some serious metal in that. It's just well made. And slide that over. You got your sling attachment on the side or the bottom, depending on whether you want to carry it on your shoulder or on your back. If you're on horseback, or on skis or whatever, that's handy. You got same on the back, of course, or when doing good. You got your sling down there, attachment, and then right here. So whichever style you prefer. This screw goes in here. I like that. I like the fact that these bands require a screwdriver, and you just, they're threaded. This old school reminds me of my Swedish Mauser. These old guns are just made differently, and they're fun to take apart. Like you see, this really isn't too much trouble, or else I couldn't do it if it was too complicated. And pretty cool. I got that all the way back. Yeah, okay. And what else? Okay, the front nose cap here and band. This is a serious piece of hardware. It's hinged, and it goes right here. No way to get it on backwards. It fits up there, and it's pretty tight, I've noticed. There we go. And it comes around, you screw it down, and I'm not sure which really is smarter or better to put through first. And then it's threaded, on the other side over here. So this screw goes through, all the way through, threads into the other side. So it's, it's fairly heavy steel. I mean, not too heavy, but it's not just a piece of sheet steel. Sheet metal, like you see it a lot of times. Okay. Get this baby fastened down, put back together, and we'll see if it'll actually fire. So like I say, the Finns were toying with, they're going through that similar process a lot of countries have to standardize on one length rifle, kind of a mid-length rifle that would serve everybody and be well built. They have a history and a reputation for liking things that are well made. And hence, that's why this is considered a really, really nice firearm, nice rifle, because it is well made. Make sure we're tight enough here. And for those who have handled one, of course, you know what I'm talking about. For those who have not, And there are a lot of people into the Mosins, of course. If the 9130 or a Model 38 or 9159, if those are the only ones you've ever handled, you just almost cannot appreciate this thing. It really is beefy. That's stock. It feels like you're holding on to a Mauser or something. Okay, even working the same bolt, it's just very solid. Okay, and it's a good looking rifle. The stock is 2 pieces, and it's kind of a heavy stock. It's just a good feeling, and they improved the sights on it. I think I mentioned that. Different gradations on it. Hope I don't mess it up. I can't shoot anyway. But I think it's down, the typical Mosin sight I think is in intervals of 100 meters or something like this. This one's much less than that. And so you have a finer tuning of that you can do. And the front sight is actually adjustable with a screwdriver. There's a screw on either side, so you don't have to get the hammer out to change that. As far as other changes, I guess that's about it. I mean, they basically took the best of the Mosin they considered, the good receivers, and built a new rifle around it. That's what it comes down to. They're fairly collectible. They're more expensive than, I guess, most of the other Mosin Nagants. I think they're worth it. I like it. I do. Now I'm going to mess it up. You're going to hate me again because the added length just helps me. It's not for the recoil, it's for the length. This thing is heavier, so even that powerful round doesn't really knock you around. So let's take a couple of shots with it. Again, we appreciate the Mosin crate and sending this along. Now, one thing they would do too, this one does not have a matching bolt, but from my reading, I learned something. But what they would do is take these, a Model 91 for example, and have the bolt and everything, but they had lots of bolts, piles of parts, you can imagine. And the Finns had, through donations or capture, they had train car, I guess, loads of Mosins. And so they handled all the raw materials. But they would find a bolt and check the headspace on it and everything, maybe in the pile or whatever. And if it fit and it worked, then they would just restamp it, the same serial number that is on the receiver of the barrel, as I understand. So that was fine. So you'll see another number stamped on there that matches maybe, all right? And the same with the floor plate down here. That was probably just stamped on there. I don't think most of the Mosins even have a serial number on that part. Maybe they do. I forget now. But that looks like it was just stamped there by the Finns. And so this is Model 39. Guess what year it came out in? Well, 1939. However, they didn't really have many of them. As I understand, just a handful until really in 41, because they were very, very busy, in battle. So they had to just drop back and punt, even though this was already developed in production. And because they had already the 91s, the 9130, had all the parts, they had to just, because of the emergency situation, just keep making those, putting those together and making these alongside. Okay, so as I read, it was near 1941 before these were really out there in any numbers. Okay? And one of these days I'm going to get me a loud muffler so I'll be cool, and the girls will just fall all over me. But they made these concurrently, with the Model 91s and some of the other Mosins just to get through. So they were in production. The 91s, I think, were still being made up through about 90 or 43 in for the Finns. So anyway, so it wasn't like in 39 all of a sudden everybody had one of these. That's the main point they're trying to make. Let's load it. Okay, we cracked an ammo can, got some ammo, and we haven't fired a shot yet. So I guess all the 8-year-olds are going back to cartoons. Sorry about that. But I wanted to show you this. I wanted to just do it a little bit differently for a change. And let you see how, because we don't often, well, we do field strip firearms, but we quite often don't take these apart necessarily. So get my ears on and just take a couple of shots. As best I can tell, the sights are on. I've been shooting at some and enjoying it. Let's go ahead and test the sights on this bowling pin. What did I tell you? That's a very accurate rifle. Hilarious, huh? Yeah, well, it's 2-liter worthy. Let's see if we put one on the plate over there. All right. I like the trigger. It's got a lot of travel, but it's pretty nice. Ooh. Of course, that 7.62 by 54R hits hard. It's a pretty good round. You know, again, the R stands for rim, not Russian. And it's for rim. Okay. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. What else about it as I load it? I don't know. I don't know anything else about it, except it does feel like quality. You feel like you have a nice rifle. Folks that, again, if you've kind of stayed away from these rifles, the Mosins, just don't care for them, you'd probably like this one okay. Let's see if we can hit that little plate. If I can see the sights, I can. Yeah, it's really just a matter of being able to see the sights clearly. Boom. Oh, we've got a cinder block over there. It needs to be hit. Oh man, takes a chunk out. Oh boy, I love it. Gosh, yeah, it's neat. It's nice to retire these old guns, these old war machines, and use them for something less violent and more fun. Anything I forgot? Again, yeah, you can put your sling on either way. I probably put mine on the standard, put it over my shoulder. I don't have a bayonet for it, and it's kind of a knife bayonet. It's not the same bayonet that fits this, that fits the 91 30s and such. So I think they're hard to find, but maybe I'll obtain one of those one of these days, because a rifle without a bayonet is pretty useless, don't you think? Quite useless. So if you have interest in these guns, you might dig into a little history of what all went on in Finland and the development. It is pretty interesting reading. I won't bore you with too much of it. I might get it wrong for one thing. But interesting history, interesting firearms, a lot of different variations, of course, of the Mosin Nagant. And this is one that I have never fired one before this week. I don't think I had even held one, but I've been messing with it for about a week, cleaning it, taking it apart, and firing it, and just enjoying it. So let's put the bolt up. Now again, I always mention this when we're doing a Mosin. I tend to just make sure I'm pointing down range. The safety on a Mosin is really awkward. You pull it back hard on that. And I mean, it'd be good, you know, if you're going to have a round in the chamber and you're going to be carrying it around, it ought to be very, very safe. But it just takes a lot of muscle, a lot of strength to put that thing on or take it off, and it's very awkward, very awkward. All right, let's try it. We tried it at long range some. Let's try it at close range. Just pop that 2-liter. All right, I was trying to put one right in the middle. You know what? I'm going to put my ears on. It's loud, but you know, it's not deafening or anything. Isn't it? Well, I'm going to see if I can shoot the cap off that 2-liter. That's not bad. Let's shoot a real one just like it. I might just leave one hole in that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And you know what? The instructions that came with this indicated it was perfect for pot smoking. They're right. There's another pot. And we're out of ammo. They put a hole right through it. Pots are a little bit like 2-liters. You're never sure what exactly is going to happen. Sometimes they'll just put a hole through on the first shot, and you just have to go from there. That's what makes them interesting targets. Okay. That's a nice ammo. If you've not discovered the joys of bolt action rifles, You need to be discovering it. Oh, nice. Thinks it's a pumpkin. Wants a face put on it. Okay, that's more like it. And we've got a watermelon down there that somebody let fall, so it's got kind of a crack in it. It might still blow up. Or it might not. Did I even hit it? Yeah, that's what happens when they're cracked. We need the shotgun out here for that one, don't we? Pretty cool. We got my new carry gun out here too, since we're doing these old guns in this vein. Thought it'd be appropriate. That's been my carry gun the last month or two. Nah, you know what that is. Nagant pistol. Got a video on that. All right. Model 39. Pretty cool. Oh, another pot down there. And a bowling pin. Goes right through it, of course. Oh, here's some Listerine. Fun to shoot. Oh, another 2-liter. Oh, man. Now, that's not a bad looking rifle either, you think? I know the limb saber on there is not exactly period correct, but it's actually a good looking rifle, I think. And I'm a little picky, but I mean, there's just something about it that it just, I don't know, it feels good and it looks good. Good shooter. We'll take a couple more. Just to make sure you're late for dinner. 3, 4, 5. And you saw the receiver, I'm sure, there, or the barrel, the serial number, and then of course the date, 1943, is the vintage on this rifle. So it was probably used in battle, as it's being used right now. The battle against 2-liters and steel targets. Looks good. Let me try that little plate again. I'll tell you. What else? Let's try that watermelon again. Yeah, just passing right through it. Oh, got another round. Let's try him again. Now wait. Oh, we got a 2-liter I was about to miss. Yeah, that's good. We'll end on that one. Yeah, that'd be bad if I left the 2-liter standing. Speaking of battle, you've got to be aware of all the enemy, you know, where they are, their presence. So you might be able to figure out that I like this rifle, and that's been my experience. I brought it. I tell you, the first time I shot it earlier in the week, I walked over on the hill, the chapter 2 range, we kind of call it. I didn't touch the sights or anything, and I couldn't miss. I hit everything I shot at. I took, I think, 5 or 10 rounds. I hit everything with the first 5 shots. Smallest targets over there, just knocked them over. And, okay, sights are on. I just came on back and shot some other things we were working on. And that's been my experience. It's the sights are right on. They're all the way down, and it's a good shooter. You would think the firearm has been around. This always crosses my mind. Because, it seems like a lot of firearms you get there used, the sights might need a little tweaking. They're not on exactly, or where you will like them, that sort of thing. So that's one of the first things I like to determine. Okay, take a shot on paper or something, see where the sights are, and it might shoot pretty much high for me, or low, or whatever. Sometimes the windage is off. But one would think that a firearm that's been around since 1943 or 1920, 1960, year 2000, that the sights would be on. Enough people, you would think, have owned it, have fired it, that the sights wouldn't be in too bad a shape. And so I'll have to say thanks to everybody who has owned this firearm, whether in combat in 1943 or in combat later, or just on a range later, thank them for getting the sights on, because the windage seems perfect and I like the elevation. No complaints. The old M39 Mosin Nagant. I think I've given you enough information that I might know about the rifle, and a little bit about the history. A little beefier stock, better sights, better barrel, and just a kind of an upgrade of the Mosin. So appreciate y'all coming by today. Life is really good. We'd like to thank one of our sponsors, SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute. SDI has fully accredited distance learning programs where you can get certified in gunsmithing or even an associate's degree in firearms technology. Of course, the study includes hands-on experience, which is important, of course. So check it out. Go to sdi.edu or just click on the link in the description. Okay? And also, we'd like to remind you to check out the Hickok 45 Facebook page and the Hickok 45 and Son channel and its Facebook page, as well as Gun Culture Radio on iTunes. Now remember all this, because I'm coming to your house randomly over the next year or two to give you a quiz on it. Okay? Thank you.